Australia thrashed Pakistan 3-0 in the T20s. Very different result from what we saw in the ODIs before. Welcome to the shiny side. I'm your host, Faris, and we have with us Omar from sunny Houston and Omer from perhaps a darker Dubai. How's it going, guys?
All right, all well.
Uh,
Very good, Praise. How are you?
I'm good. Omar, I'll start with you since you were on the last show. It's probably the only happy show we've done since the shiny side started. And if you somehow slept through the ODI series, you'd think this T20 series was okay. A
Business as
standard
usual.
business as usual, but it's come as a bit of a surprise given how well the ODIs was. How do you see that, Umar?
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't very long-lived, was it? Wasn't it? Yeah, I think we're back. I mean, T20 it was obviously a very new team. Australia is a fairly new team, so I think when we even did that when we were talking about it, I don't think we had a lot of clarity in how things would go. I think we were a bit optimistic, so I'm not too shocked by the result. But I think given how one-sided the games were, that was obviously very disappointing. I was expecting a little bit more experimentation with on the team as well. That didn't happen. But yes, it's not shocking. Obviously sad, but yeah, I mean, totally different team than that played the ODI from a batting perspective. So I think that showed. I mean, again, some of these boys are going to Australia for the first time, playing on these pitches. So there were a lot of challenges. But I mean, I think it was very disappointing though to lose 3-0 to a young Australian team as well.
Umar, your take on the series?
Yeah, so look, what was surprising to me is that we found a way to win a test series, we found a way to win an ODI series, and we lost the T20 series. That was shocking to me because generally we're better at T20 than we are in ODIs or in tests. And given that we were on that spree of winning tests and ODIs to lose T20, but then when you go back and look at the squad we had for the T20 series, I don't think it was a T20 squad. And so the result is not surprising at all. I mean, selection went totally wrong, I feel.
Yeah. We'll come to the bigger theme. Let me quickly run through the games, right? So the first game, I won't say much about. 7 over rain shortened game. I didn't take it too seriously, even though our bowlers got smashed all over the park. The second
Yeah.
game, Australia started off really well, batting first. They were 47 of 15 balls, but then we bowled incredibly well, and I say that in all seriousness, where they only scored 100 in the next 105 balls, and we kept them down to 134. Uh, I thought that game was it again. I thought our bowling was exceptional, and I think the one thing that perhaps I was happiest about Omer was again Abbas Afridi was good, but I think the Sufyan Mukim I thought was a good new face, and I really like what he did in that game.
Yeah. I mean, look, it was quite amazing. Haris, Sufyan, and Abbas, I think they in their 12 overs gave 60 runs and took 9 wickets, where Shaheen and Naseem went for 80 plus in their eight. But I think the difference, I mean, you saw how Australia came out, right? Matt Short and Fraser McGurk just, they didn't defend a single delivery, right? They were just smashing it all around from the beginning. So they made the difference, and none of the other batsmen could do the same. But yeah, Haris bowled really well. Abbas bowled really. Sufyan has been a great find. Misbah's been talking about it for the last 3, 4 years, since he's been on the pavilion. So finally he's getting a chance. Bowling was good, but yeah, I mean the chase again. I don't know what we were doing. We didn't hit a boundary for 9 overs. So I mean,
And it's the first time in an international T20 a team did not hit a boundary with the first 9 overs, by the way. So new record for
crazy.
Pakistan.
Crazy. I
But
mean, you don't have the batsman. I mean, T20 team देख लो यार कौन लोग थे हम you
no,
didn't have the proper
I
batsman
mean,
there.
we
लेकिन
come to
यार
selection.
बैट्समैन हम बात करें लेकिन यही लोग ODIs में भी मार लेते हैं but 9 overs
And,
with
and,
field restrictions
yeah.
T20 में I mean
Maybe I'll come to selection in a moment, but I still feel like regardless of who's playing, not hitting a boundary in T20s in the first 9 overs,
yeah
like it does not add up to me. Like it doesn't matter
They
what the
didn't even
pitch is.
try. They did
right
not even try. They didn't
yeah
even try.
yeah I mean
No.
we lost the games in the power play. I think it was all about the power play. The way Australia
Yeah.
played and the way we played, that was a deciding
Yeah.
factor. I mean that was
Yeah.
really the difference.
Yeah, and once so Rizwan again was incredibly slow. Once he departed, our required rate was 9 when it was about 7 at the start of the innings, right? So I think it was clearly, except for the first 3 overs of that game, wasn't the easiest track to bat on. To be fair, right? So if you take the required rate up to 9, then obviously it's going to be a struggle from there, Omar.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Irfan did really well to bring the game in, and I was actually looking forward to him this tournament. And he did well. I think he's probably one of the only batter maybe who had a decent tournament for us.
Usman Khan had a
But
good
yeah,
that day,
I mean,
mate.
it's hard to come back.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Usman Khan had a good knock in the second ODI as well. He kept us in the
Usman
game.
Khan had one good knock. Yeah, I mean, Babar got a 40 right in the last game, I think, but I think Irfan, he got run out maybe for 0 and 1. But other than that, he played. He was not out in maybe two, or he scored well. So, and he's had a good knock, couple of good knocks before coming in here as well. So he was probably the bright light. But I mean, yeah, come on, it's low scoring game, and you push your required run rate up to 9, 10. I mean, why does the game ever go there, right? And I don't understand how the mindset there, right? Rizwan he can play big shots. So what happens? I don't understand. That's the part that's really
He
confusing.
left 3 balls in a single over, by the way, at some point. It was well left. Not played and missed, but well left. Uh,
Yeah, he was doing that. I was watching that.
so I come to the third T20 now. And Omer, you said we lost the game in the power play in the third T20. Batting first, we were 58 for 1 in the power play. People had started tuning in and stopped what they were doing, saying this is going to be a good game. Babar was looking incredibly good. And from there, we lost in the next 22 balls, we lost 4 wickets and we only scored 12 runs. And the game effectively ended there. So again, Omar, we can't seem to put together a whole performance, right? Because yeah, the power play was brilliant, but that was the end of it for us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's hard to, I don't know. It's hard to find reasons behind it, right? I mean, you could say that these are new kids on the block, and all of a sudden put under pressure, or they just went for the big shots and they got out. It's For me, it's hard to just describe it why this happens with us,
Yeah.
right?
I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm
out
going
of three or four, at least one person. It's T20. One person could have scored a 30, and we would have gotten a decent target or ended up winning. So
I
it's
mean,
bizarre.
I'm going to come to selection of the guys who weren't there, but again, Salman Ali Agha scored 5 runs in 3 innings. He's now the T20 vice captain, right? So you think this is the time where he takes it on his own. In his
Yeah.
defense, he's done okay for Islamabad United, batting in the top 4, and we're batting him at 5 and 6. So I'm not sure if that's the right slot for him. But again, like you said, Omar, like Rizwan, he bats for Multan Sultan. He plays a number of T20 cricket, not going for a shot doesn't make any sense. But let's come to the elephant in the room, Omer, which is the selections now.
Um,
So
if Before we move there, for Salman Ali Agha, right? The key point for me that stood out was his numbers don't look good at all, except for the last PSL.
yeah,
So was that a freakish tournament for him, or has he turned a page? I mean, so
and,
that's what
and,
we'll have
and
to
based
look
on
for
that, you
going
made him
forward.
vice captain. If anything, he's pretty strong in tests and perhaps somewhat in ODIs. But T20s is literally his weakest format, and that's the one he's become vice captain in. But Umair, elephant in the room, we went without Saim, without Fakhr. I think Sahabzada Farhan, with all due respect, on his best day is a poor man's Fakhr Zaman. Right? So he's not really somebody who's going to turn it on. So selection wise, Umair, I think that's why we lost the series.
Yes, I agree. Although on Sai Ayub, I know a lot of people are making a big hue and cry over why he was not in the T20 squad. I actually support Sai Ayub not being there in the T20 squad. They have been playing Saim in T20 for the last 2, 3 years. He has done nothing, right? He has a strike rate of 124, 125. He has no 50 in the format. He has failed miserably. Someone somewhere has taken notice and figured out that he has a bright future and is a good ODI player, good test player. He played a couple of very good test knocks versus England. He played an amazing ODI knock on debut in Australia, right? It shows he is a complete batsman, and that is where he belongs. ODI cricket, test cricket. He does not belong in T20 cricket. He may have all those shots, but he has not performed in T20 cricket. So leaving him out was the right decision. Fakhr Zaman, you cannot leave him out of any white ball squad. But again, you are selecting a new squad. Where are your new batsmen? Usman Khan is not new. He failed in the T20 World Cup. Babar and Rizwan are not new. Saib Zada Farhan is not new. Salman Ali Agha, great test player. As you said, somewhat ODI. He's not a T20 batsman. Irfan Khan Niazi, probably the only one in the entire 11 who you can classify as a T20 batsman.
Yeah.
Right? So you did not select the right team.
Yeah, and if you are not look, I think Saim, I think whether he should be there or not is debatable. I agree, he completely failed. I think given that he had done well in ODI, I thought that was an opportunity to perhaps add him. But okay, let's say if he didn't, the problem isn't that Saim wasn't there. The problem is there was no one playing that role, right? The guys you got in, like I said, Sabzada Farhan is not really that kind of batsman, right? And especially
No,
if you
there was
play both Babar and Rizwan, then you need someone more aggressive around them.
exactly there were no aggressive batsmen there who could take the momentum with them. See, the thing with Saim is if you look at his ODI knock, the 70 odd that he got on debut, if you look at that knock, the way he played, like he started very slowly. He was, I think he took 20 deliveries and he was on 8 or something. He got going much later when he was coming. So, that works in ODIs, that works in Test cricket. T20, you have to go from the get go. And that has not, he's played 20 odd T20s for Pakistan. It's not worked.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that as well. I would support Saim not being in the squad. Fakhr should have been there. But I think when we say the players selected, we didn't have maybe the very big hitters. But I think if you go look at PSL stats, domestic stats, I think they did a good job selecting people who were recent performers in the PSL, who actually have a decent track record. So a couple of them weren't played, but to be honest, I am struggling with names in terms of who else should have made the squad. So
I
I
mean,
don't think
I
the
think,
selection team did a very
yeah,
bad job.
no.
Maybe one or two players you could argue, but I don't know. Maybe you guys know of some players.
No, I agree with you there. I think there's a dearth of talent. There's a dearth of T20 batsmen in Pakistan. There's a big gap between PSL and international cricket as well. And you're right. Even I don't know who should have been there. But
and
I can tell you it should not be Saibzada Farhan. It should not be Usman Khan. It should not be Babar Rizwan together. This is not your T20 team of the future.
and there were a couple
It
of
is
guys
not.
Yeah,
in
and
the squad,
Sabzada
right?
Farhan, I think this hopefully was his last tournament, right?
Yeah. There were a
Sorry.
couple of guys in the squad, I think. Like there's Omer bin Yusuf perhaps, and a couple of others who kind of can hit the ball, but
So
They didn't play him.
they never got a game.
yeah, yeah.
They didn't play him.
Omer has a fantastic his last PSL was absolutely very good. So him and
Yeah.
Irfan were the two players I was excited about.
Yeah.
Sadly, he didn't get a game. I mean, I'm not a fan of Hasibullah. I don't know how he makes that 11. He's probably there as a backup wicketkeeper, right? But he does not make it over any of these boys. So we
Yeah.
seem to keep sticking to him. I mean, between again him and Haris doesn't make the squad. I don't know how Hasibullah makes the squad. But yeah, that selection there in the final game for the 11, I wasn't very impressed with.
Yeah. So I guess and Aware, I think that it goes without saying that the format that has changed the most is T20s, right? Like this completely, right? So clearly we haven't evolved in our thinking. So we still play ODIs like we used to and tests
No.
like we used to, and that can still win you
Yeah.
games. But in T20s, you can't play it the way
Yeah.
you used to play 10 years
No, yeah,
ago.
exactly. And
And
we won the
that can
ODI
win you
series because of our
games.
bowlers.
Yeah.
You were not chasing 300 plus. You were chasing 140, 150, 160. Your bowlers were doing a great job and you could play normal cricket and get those runs, right? So it was quite different. And
Also,
T20,
also,
the way
you
they
know,
ball,
sorry, I keep interrupting. I was just gonna say in ODIs, it also doesn't work. It worked in Australia on sort of
yes,
bowler-friendly wickets.
When
We
you
come
were
back to the
chasing that
subcontinent,
under
it's
sub
not gonna
200
work.
it will
score.
not work. Exactly.
Right, right,
Exactly.
right.
And the one game in which we batted first, we didn't really put up a real score, and the bowlers still
Yeah.
kind of kept you in the game till the end, right? So I
Yeah.
guess that's the overall theme here, right? That our bowling was actually generally really strong across both
Yeah.
formats, but the batting issues across in both
Yeah.
formats. It's not the ODI even masked that we have serious batting
Yeah.
issues, and again the poor selection it wasn't helping. Um, I guess moving on to some other kind of news. So I think we spoke about how again Gary Kirshner obviously had resigned, and now news coming out that Aqib Javed is taking over as white ball coach across formats. Initially, actually, the news came out that he's taking out a white ball coach across all three formats, and then PCB sent out a rebuttal saying, no, 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 Gillespie will still coach the South Africa series. So it was really interesting choice of words where they didn't say he's going to continue as test coach. They said he's going to continue for the South Africa series. So for all intents and purposes, they've played their card saying that Aqib is going to take over for the test side as well once the South Africa series is over. And Umair, I want to come to you first. I want to really talk about the timing of Aqib and how smartly they just played, right? So he didn't want to start his career in a two-test away series in South Africa, which Pakistan will almost likely lose 2-0. He will start at home test series against the West Indies. That's a nice way to start, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is like politics at its core. But tell me something. Is he gonna remain selector?
So that's what they said. He will remain selector as well. And that's what it's a very
This is
good
like,
question, right? Because we've been hearing from the PCB saying stuff like they can't have the coach and the captain won't have a say in selection because the biases come in. And I think,
Yeah.
and here they're going the exact opposite way, saying he will continue as selector. The problem I have, Omer, is look, I think we can disagree with decisions cricket board makes. That's fine. They can make their calls, but if the principles they make it based on they keep changing, that doesn't not make any sense, right? That's what's happening here. Like
Yeah,
on the one hand, you're saying there's
yeah,
a bias, etc., etc. Then you're doing the exact
yeah,
opposite thing for the other individual, and it makes absolutely no
yeah.
sense. And so I don't know if you want to have a chance to explain.
And this is the same model that was brought in when Misbah was chief selector and head coach, right?
Yes,
I
kind
mean,
of.
and this is now you're giving this power to Aqib Javed. Fine. He had a lot to do with the England Test Series win, the squad selections for Australia. Fine. But I think if you are punishing Gary Kirsten and Jason Gillespie for wanting a say in selection, you are rewarding Aqib for the same thing.
Yeah,
So, as you
Yeah.
said, the principles, I mean, are
they are
different
different.
for
It's
different.
good. It, it's going back to the good old thing in Pakistan, right? It's always about individuals. It's never about
Yeah,
systems or processes or something, right? One guy has saw some success, all of a
yeah,
sudden he has all power. I mean, Akib did well in the role he was given. Maybe they could have made him director of cricket or something and had him
yeah.
oversight of everything. I think to now put him in charge of the ODI setup and the T20 setup is maybe, I don't know. I don't, he did well in something. Let him continue with it. Why are we dragging him into the
I
coaching
mean,
side as well?
Akib was director cricket slash coach for Lahore Qalandars, and he developed some good players, but it took him 5 years to win a title, right? And at the end of the day, in 7 years,
Yeah.
it's two titles, but like four last finishes. So it's not like his coaching record in the PSL is brilliant, right? And sure, he groomed
Yeah.
Haris and Shaheen. So I almost feel like he's perhaps a really good person to have in your academy or perhaps at the A level as a coach rather than
Yeah.
the. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, I
I mean, his strength seems to be his knowledge of the Pakistani setup, of the
yeah,
young and upcoming, of how things work, and that's where
Yeah.
director cricket is very useful, right? To make it all come
absolutely.
together. As a coach, like you said, we'll see.
Omer, Champions Trophy. So the news again, we all know the news is India saying they don't want to come here. There's a lot of talk about people saying कि हमें छोड़ देना चाहिए and we should not play and refuse to play. I'm not sure what you guys think, but my view is again, we obviously need to have a hard stance and put a like get try to fight for our rights and so on. Having said that, the last time there was an ICC tournament in Pakistan was in '96. I personally would take an ICC tournament where 10 out of 15 games happen in Pakistan as a win right now. So again, a lot of people when I say this, they're like, "Hey, what do you mean we don't should have it here or not have it?" But again, where do you, Umar, you want to go first? Where do you sit on that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair. That's not a bad outcome. Having most of the games in Pakistan, just India's games outside, maybe one semifinal, right? I think the other option is you completely lose out on the tournament, which will not end well for Pakistan at all, which will be a horrible ending. And I think India and the BCCI is extremely serious in their stance. I think was it today or yesterday, they even pulled out the blind cricket team from traveling to Pakistan, which people were using as an example of सब कुछ चल रहा है सिर्फ इनकी main cricket team क्यों नहीं आ सकती, right? So they pulled them out as well as to
It's a good
show at the
point.
world that we're serious and we're not coming. कि शोएब अख्तर की बातें नहीं मानो कि वो कह रहे हैं कि ये लोग आने वाले हैं, right? So that is not a bad idea. I think Pakistan should stay firm like they have been and make sure they get things in writing with all the right explanations. And दो ही ऑप्शन है, या तो आप कॉम्प्रोमाइज करके सबका फायदा होगा, पाकिस्तान का भी फायदा होगा, क्रिकेट इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट कम्स बैक एंड आई थिंक बिजनेस इन जनरल इट हेल्प्स एंड ऑल दैट, या दूसरा ऑप्शन है आप सबको लेके डूब मरो, व्हिच इज नॉट अगेन गुड, नॉट अ बैड ऑप्शन बी के
It financially hit it. Look, it financially hits you. It financially hits you if it credibility wise hits you. You're not coming any closer to getting a major tournament here. So, Omer, what's your take on the whole
yeah.
scope?
Yeah, look, I like the stance Pakistan has taken. They are not budging that we don't want a hybrid model. It's fine. You stay with that stance. Like Asia Cup, they budged very quickly. Do not budge here.
And they budge too much also.
Eventually, exactly. Eventually, you know what's going to happen. India will get its way. But I think the major problem, it's not between the cricket boards. It's a political issue, right? Do you think our politicians on both sides in Pakistan, India, are they talking about this? Are they getting into a dialogue to try and resolve this? No, they're not. They're the ones who need to be resolving this. BCCI, ICC, and PCB cannot resolve this. It
Yeah.
is an issue beyond them, and it needs to be resolved at that level. When it comes to what will happen, what I feel Pakistan should do, they said, fine, you want hybrid model, we give you hybrid model. India plays all its games outside. We will not play India. Pakistan will play all its matches in Pakistan. India will be in a different group. You play your games in Dubai, in Sri Lanka, wherever you want. Play them in India. सेमीफाइनल फाइनल हमारे घर होगा. आपने पहुंचना है, आप पहुंचोगे सेमीफाइनल, आके खेलो. नहीं खेलना, आप फॉरफीट कर रहे हो. And then leave it to
And
BCCI and the
96 World Cup में हुआ था
England
ना, when
men.
some people
So
think
that's how
something happened.
Sri Lanka got to the semis. They had like 8 free points or something like that, or 6 free points. I don't know.
They had two
Yeah, so there's
But yeah,
precedent there.
4 free points because Australia and West
yeah,
Indies didn't travel there. I guess the difference there was the tournament was happening in multiple
yeah.
countries, right? Here, it's the entire tournament is in a single country. So if you boycott a country, then you boycott the tournament. So, yeah, I look.
India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. Yeah,
Yeah, I think there's another thing, Omer. Like they already made the group, so like
yeah.
Pakistan says, okay, fine, we won't. India's matches can be in Dubai, but we'll forfeit the India game. India keep the points. I mean, again,
Change it. Groups can change.
yeah, that's probably a better way of
Yeah,
going.
bro. If host country can change, groups can also change.
That's true. That is
Yeah, group change. Yeah, why not?
Group change हो सकता है, host country change हो रही है यार. Group तो छोटी सी चीज है.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Okay, I
You know, the
guess
decision makers want in India versus Pakistan, so they would do anything to get India versus
that's true.
Pakistan win
So I think the
versus.
only leverage the PCB has is that India.
वाह, शाम में जाओ वापस.
The only leverage PCB has is the India Pakistan game. The second that
Yes.
ICC की जी आप ले जाएं, but हम forfeit कर रहे हैं. I mean, that's how you can get to the best possible outcome, whatever
Yeah.
it may be. But you need to put your leverage on the table.
Yes.
Uh,
And Pakistan, India, not only in Champions Trophy, but also in all future ICC tournaments as well. Pakistan can refuse to play.
yeah,
Let them lose $100 million every ICC tournament.
exactly. I mean, Usman, some of
And
these.
who's going to lose most of the money? Who gets 80% of that?
Yeah.
Usman spoke about this, right? Someone needs to talk about how there's an India-Pakistan fixed schedule game every single time. Why is that happening, right? Like, why is that so okay? There should be a draw and so on and so forth. How does India-Pakistan magically appear in every single tournament? Like, someone needs to call that out as well. But I guess, guys.
No, the best thing is you have these seedings, and let's say India's ranked 1, Pakistan is ranked 2. They will place 1 and 2 in the same group and 3 and 4 in the same group. But if let's say India is ranked 1, Pakistan is 4, they place 1 and 4 together and 2 and 3 together.
They
Change
have
it
a-
according to your own means to
work backwards from the outcome
make
you
sure
want.
Pakistan and India happens.
Yeah. I guess moving on is one last thing, guys. We have a tour of Zimbabwe coming up. Omer, the ODI start on Sunday. I'm not sure what to make of it, given I don't know much about the Zimbabwe team right now. But we don't have Babar, we don't have Shaheen, we don't have Naseem. Saim Abdullah back. Rizwan will be leading them. What's your take on
Very
this?
good.
Should that be a? I mean, I hope we get to try
This
out
is ODIs.
but yeah, this is the ODIs. But how do you see that series? And should it be an easy win for Pakistan, I guess? So yeah, the ODI series, I mean, we're not playing Shaheen, Babar.
Yes, so Rizwan will be captaining ODIs.
Yes, Rizwan will be captaining. So it should be a straightforward win for Pakistan, you think?
And Agha's captaining the T20s.
Yes. Or who knows?
Is there such a thing?
Yeah, I think so.
I think the last time Zimbabwe was in Pakistan, they won a game in the series.
नहीं यार जीतेंगे. I think so. I don't know. I don't know anything about Zimbabwe.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, they've been on the fringes. I think main difference there, Pakistani team not going with their best 11. It'll be interesting to see. I'm sure they'll make a game out of it like they always do. The main thing, yeah, they better test their bench strength. It'll be good to see some of these kids. You know, T20 maybe chance नहीं मिला. Australia में was only 3 games. So I think they can try some of these other people we were talking about. But they should. I mean, we expect nothing less than a whitewash. We cannot afford to lose.
The great cricketer boys called this, right? They said trust Pakistan to beat Australia, effectively Australia's best side in the ODIs, and then lose to what was a all-star Big Bash 11 in the T20s. That's what we did basically. Who knows what will happen against Zimbabwe? But good stuff, guys. Thank you for being on, Omer. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Omer, pleasure having
Thank
you.
you.
Again. And for those of you watching, we'll be back after the ODIs and before the T20s. In the meantime,
Thanks,
stay on the
guys.
shining side.